Continuing in Isaiah, as I'm now reading up to chapter 14, branching through these chapters here, God uses Isaiah to speak through prophecies of the surrounding areas. In particular, what I'm talking about right now is Assyria. And what I find interesting about Assyria is God used Assyria to humble the people of Judah, if you will. But the interesting thing about Assyria is they were a godless nation. So, in turn, God would destroy them because they think that, again, they've accomplished all of this on their own. But the interesting thing is that without even knowing it, with being a godless people, Assyria was an instrument, was a tool in God's toolkit, which is very interesting. I think it speaks that, we could be used without even knowing it. So the interesting part of Scripture that I'm going to talk about today is, chapter 14, verses 26 and 27. Now, after God says in verse 25 that He'll crush the Assyrians, He'll trample them down, His yoke will be taken from my people, which are the people of Israel, and His burden will be removed from their shoulders. So after He gives the land back to the Israelites and He crushes the Assyrians, the Lord goes on to say this in verse 26 and 27. He says, "This is the plan determined for the whole world, not just one area. This is the hand of God, stretched out over all nations, from east to west, from north to south. This is the plan determined for the whole world. This is the hand stretched out over all nations." Now, if that gives you an indication of how much God cares for His people and the followers, no matter where they live, but it also gives you an indication of how big His hand and His might is, if His hand can outstretch all nations. Verse 27, "For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart Him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back?" You see, just as the Assyrians were high and mighty in their own might, I guess, going around conquering people, they were a godless nation, and they were on top of the world. They thought nothing could bring them down. Now, imagine a big, strong, mighty nation that's going around just beating up on everybody. And read verse 27, "For the Lord is purposed, and who can thwart Him?" See, the Lord is no match. Assyria is no match for the Lord. The world is no match for the Lord. Again, it says, His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? His entire hand, I'm assuming, His entire hand can wipe out a nation. His entire hand, I would venture to say His entire fingernail or skin cell could wipe out an entire nation. And right here it's saying, as powerful as the Assyrians were, the Lord has prophesied that His hand will be stretched out. All nations will hear His name. All nations will hear His word. And who can thwart Him? Who can turn it back? The answer is nobody. Just ask the Assyrians. My guess is after God was done with them, there weren't any left. So, with that, I just bear in mind that whatever you're going through, no matter if you're in a battle right now or you've been conquered, just know, or if you're on a high and mighty place right now, just be aware of your surroundings and be aware that everything that you have and everything you do and everything you'll be given is from God. So, friend, you're walking on very, very dangerous, thin ice when you begin to rack up points in this earth. Okay, because if God can destroy armies and whole nations, which the scriptures are full of it, if He can destroy whole nations, that have turned their back on him, he can destroy you. And he doesn't want to do that, but he is a jealous God. He wants you to know that he loves you. His plan for the whole world was to turn them back to him. Isaiah 15:5 says, In love a throne will be established. In faithfulness a man will sit on it. One from the house of David, one who in judging seeks justice and speeds the cause of righteousness. See, he's coming. The Messiah at this point in Scripture was coming, and God is coming back to get his people. In love, a throne will be established. You see, God is not out to just destroy people and make them miserable, but he is out to do whatever it takes to turn, as Scriptures say, the remnant back to him. You know, the Scriptures tell us that there's only a few that are going to turn back to him, but God will do what it takes, and he'll stretch his hands out, but he will also stretch his arms out so you can run into him, and he will welcome you on the throne of love. So with that in mind, I appreciate you listening today, and I'll see you next time.